Hello and welcome back to Adventures with Mary. I am Mary. Can you come say hi? This is Bella. I do the yapping, Bella brings the vibes. She is not on camera very much, but she always wants to say hi. Don't you, Miss Bella? Bella needs some grooming done around her eyes so that you can see better, don't you? Our current favorite thing is making flower crowns out of the dandelions in the yard. And by ours, I mean mine. Bella just tolerates it. If you're new here, welcome. I'm really happy to have you. Since I was a teenager, I always wanted to have a YouTube channel. I graduated high school in 2016, kind of in the era when there were a lot of people daily vlogging, and there were a few daily vloggers that I would watch consistently, and I was really passionate about creating videos. And in 2022, I started this channel, and I started by filming 100 videos in 100 days, and it was the craziest journey I'd ever been on. It kind of kickstarted learning how to create content, film, edit, produce, etc. And then shortly after I filmed 100 videos in 100 days, I went through a few different experiences that made me kind of go through like a prolonged existential crisis. And I was going through a lot of things that like deeply affected my life, and I didn't really know how to get on camera and not talk about things that were so present in my life, and I didn't really know if I could like split into like an on-camera Mary and an off-camera Mary because that didn't feel genuine to me. But in 2025, I'm trying to get back into the routine of filming and posting, and how I'm choosing to do that is have monthly videos where I talk about health, finances, relationships, travel and entertainment, and goals or milestones, and the different things that I discover as I go through the journey of being in my mid to late 20s. If that's something that interests you, I would love to have you here. Feel free to subscribe, join the party. If you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I always really appreciate people viewing, liking, sharing my videos. This month I felt particularly passionate about the concept of being in your 20s. I'm currently 27. I turned 27 in February, and in a lot of ways it gives a little bit of an existential crisis. I only have a few more years left of being in my 20s, and having that self-awareness of like, where did all the time go? And I only have a short amount of time left can feel so paralyzing. But I saw a quote this month that said, "Nothing will ruin your 20s more than thinking that you should have your life together already." And I thought that was so true, because I found that it can be really paralyzing when you have these big dreams or big goals that you want and you can't achieve them overnight. It takes a long time and consistent efforts. And I think it's really important to learn how to be an imperfectionist, learn how to be bad at things, learn how to accept that you're going to be bad at things, because I kind of view it as like the cost of entry. Like, if you want to be good at something, you have to be willing to put in the time and the work and be bad at it before you can start being good at it. I've been thinking a lot recently about the word becoming. I went to church on Easter, and while I was in church, I kind of came up with this word. I think my word is becoming. I'm becoming a version of myself. I'm becoming a more whole person. I'm becoming a healed person. I'm becoming the best version of myself. And I think the word becoming gives so much room for growth, and it kind of shows that you're on this track, you're on this path. If you've ever heard the joke, how do you carve an elephant? It's like it's a silly joke, but basically the punchline is like you take a block and you start carving away anything that doesn't look like an elephant. And it's a silly joke, but that's something that I've been finding in my 20s. It's like there's a version of yourself that you want to be, and every day you just chip away a little piece that you don't want to be anymore. And then you eventually become your highest self. So anyway, how to make an elephant, chip away anything that doesn't look like an elephant. So let's get started on our topics. The first topic I start with is health, and today I wanted to talk about the skincare that I use. I posted a photo on Instagram recently of my bathroom sink as I was getting ready for an event. Someone DM'd me and asked me about what I use for skincare, so I figured I would kind of unpack that today. This is all my skincare on this shelf behind me, and it kind of looks like a lot, but I'm going to go through kind of like my routine. I have a very simple little routine and going to go through the products that I use. My favorite brand is ITK by Brooklyn & Bailey. My favorite products are their serums. Now, I can't tell you necessarily what any of these serums do. There are QR codes on the back. You can research like how to use it, what it's for, etc. I can just tell you like the results that I've seen. These are their cleansers. These are my favorite cleansers to use. I usually go for the milk to foam cleanser. If I'm wearing a full face of makeup, it's my favorite one to start with, and then I double cleanse with the exfoliating gel cleanser. I kind of switch these out which one I use every night, but usually I gravitate towards the milk to foam cleanser. So first thing I do is I wash my face, which I already did that because I was in the shower. Then I go in with a toner. ITK has toners. I only have one of them right now, and it is the triacid toner. But then they also have like a milky toner as well, which I really like. It also says on the back when to use it. So this one is a night one, and the milky foam cleanser is the morning one. Recently they were out of it at the store, and so instead I picked up this hydrating cleanser from Versed. And I will say, this is my favorite product in the entire world. It's good for dryness, and it says all on the back. It's a skin conditioning toner, and it is mineral rich, and it balances your pH. So I always start with this. If you struggle with dry skin at all, I highly recommend this. I take a little cotton swab and I just press it down a couple of times. Then I just swipe it all over my skin. I use this anytime I've washed my face. So if it's in the morning, before work, before bed, before going out or something like that, I always use this. And then in the morning, I use this brightening serum. These two products are my holy grail when it comes to skincare. Versed toner and ITK brightening serum. These will make your skin look so shiny and so hydrated. The next thing I do is I go in with the brightening serum, and I just take a little dropper full, like that. And this one says to pat it in on your face. I don't know what difference it makes, but that's what I do. The other option is you can put some on your hand and do this and pat it in. If I was doing my night routine, I would use the hydraulic serum to put on my skin instead. I also kind of oscillate for under the eyes between these two products, the night and day eye cream and the soothing under eye stick. Now, I'm not 100% sure what either of them do, but I use them. The night and day looks like this being the night and this being the day, and I just take a little bit on my finger, and a little goes a long way, and I put it under my eye, and then I massage it in. I feel like my skin looks kind of red right now on camera, but the under eye stick can be used AM and PM, so I'll use this before I'm going out at night. All of these products can be bought at either Walmart or Amazon. The toner is a little bit on the pricey side. I think it's like $18, and this usually lasts me about a month. The rest of the products are between, I think, like $8 and $12. We have an honorable mention for a couple other products. They also have a setting mist, which I really like to use on my skin after I've done my makeup. And then also a blemish treatment mist. I haven't used it a lot, so I haven't had enough results to talk about. I do follow Brooklyn and Bailey on Instagram, and I see them using this a lot and having good results. It says it helps with treating acne and daily oil control, so if that's something you struggle with, maybe this would be helpful. And then also this gentle retinol serum. It says to use it 2 to 3 times a week at night, and I use it occasionally. It says it's supposed to help with blemish marks and improve texture. I don't use it that often, but honorable mention. For moisturizer, I usually just use this CeraVe. I almost never use lotion on my face, and I don't really know why not, but if I do use lotion, it's the CeraVe lotion. And I know this isn't skincare, but I also wanted to give my recommendations for dry shampoo. Collab, I call it Collab, I don't know if that's how you say it, but Collab is my favorite dry shampoo to use. I buy both of them. I think they're each about $10, but they're a bigger size than usual. This is just the original regular dry shampoo, and this one has texture in it. Like a little bit will definitely go a long way. It gives a good volume and also a good texture. So now I'm just gonna do my makeup. And that's it. That's my skincare routine. The next topic we have is finances. And I actually left my show notes at the office, and I had to go pick them up this morning, and my sister came with me. So she was kind of like perusing them. She like read it over. The only thing that I don't have something written down for is finances, which is classic Mary fashion. We're gonna just kind of we're just gonna kind of wing this one. We've talked earlier in this series about how I've been trying to get some extra babysitting gigs. I'm currently working towards the goal of paying off my credit card by the end of the year, and I think that I'm on a good trajectory. I've been accepting a lot more babysitting jobs so that I can kind of fuel my income, because I'm also really passionate about travel, and I'm kind of trying to do like the both and, like pay off my credit card and travel. I think it would make a lot more sense if I paid the credit card off first and then I focused on traveling, but I'm not doing it that way. So I've been accepting a lot more babysitting jobs, and other than that, I don't really have a ton of updates. I'm still trying to be financially conscious when I go out with my friends, taking cash instead of paying with a card. That way I have a finite amount of drinks that I can buy. And ways that I'm just financially conscious in my day-to-day. I don't buy more than I need. I'm really good at portioning out my food so none of it goes bad. Trying to focus on reusing, recycling, upcycling what I already have. That way I don't need to buy more of it. And also just being conscious of things that I need and prioritizing things that I need over things that I want. That being said, should I tell you about this now or should I tell you about this in travel and entertainment? I'm gonna tell you about this in travel and entertainment. We're gonna talk about relationships. Last month, I think I mentioned that I lost my date streak. I was going on dates every single month, and I didn't go on a date with anyone in March, but in April, I did have one first date. In my January recap, I mentioned that I really wanted to go on a lot of first dates this year, and I think I've only been on 2 first dates. So clearly we're not doing very well at this. However, we're back on the streak, which is a good thing. And I talk a lot with my therapist about dating and relationships. And I do think I've come a long way this year. I've talked to a few people, and my therapist has been really helpful in terms of relationships. I was dating someone at the end of last year, beginning of this year, and I had the world's biggest crush on this guy. And it manifested in the most anxious attachment style I've ever manifested in my life. And my therapist has done a lot of work with me trying to help me understand that, like, when you're in the early dating process, you are there to just observe someone's actions. You're not trying to make them be a certain way. You're not checking any boxes. You're just observing. That's all you're doing. And that took so much pressure off of me when I realized, like, oh, I'm just here to observe how you are. And if I like it, okay, next date. If I don't, then we don't move on. The guy I went on a date with this month was very nice. I had met him on a Friday night. He texted me that night. He's like, let's get brunch tomorrow. He picked the place. Everything just kind of fell right into place, and it was really great. Unfortunately, there was a bit of an age gap that I wasn't comfortable with, and I learned how to say no. Last year, I struggled a lot going on first dates and desperately wanting a second date. I could not land a freaking second date. It was so bad. And I was like, you know what? My goal for 2025 is go on second dates. But this month, I learned how to say no to a second date. And I think that was really big for me, because you really want a second date with someone. It puts you in this position of vulnerability where you might go on a second date with someone that isn't right for you because you want this concept of the second date. Whereas this month, I was kind of able to learn, like, you're a really nice person. I'm not comfortable with an age gap. So no, thank you. I wish you the best. My therapist is really trying to guide me towards figuring out what I want in a relationship. What do I want in a partner? And I have a really hard time visualizing myself in a relationship. So I'm working on kind of going back to the elephant concept. If the block is what I want in a partner, each date I go on, I'm like able to chip away different parts that I don't want in a future relationship. And then at the end, I'll hopefully have a pretty good idea of the type of person that I'm compatible with. Is that all for relationships? I think that's all I want to say about relationships today. Next up is travel and entertainment. I traveled twice this month to Canada, back-to-back weekends. The first weekend was Montreal. I was seeing an artist, small artist. His name is Mark Scabilia, and he went viral last year, at least on Instagram. I don't know about TikTok, for a cover of Bittersweet Symphony that he had done. But I'd been listening to him since like 2020. He was born in Buffalo, New York. Absolutely incredible vocals. I fell in love with this man's vocals so fast. And I've been listening to him for the last few years, and I really wanted to see him in concert. It was a small venue, general admission. I was like 3 people from the front. To Montreal solo. The night before I left, a friend of a friend made a comment to me about how I should be careful going to Canada with the political climate, how it is. And she made a comment like, oh, you should not say you're American, say you're from Vancouver or something, you grew up in the States, whatever, like make up some kind of story. So going up there, I was anxious. I was afraid I wasn't going to be welcome. I got there, it was raining out, I went to get coffee, and everyone speaks French in Montreal. That's like the default language. And I'm sitting there drinking my coffee, everyone's having conversations in French around me, I'm journaling in English, and it was in that moment that I realized that I was wearing a Washington DC sweatshirt. And I'm like, I don't even speak French, I can't even pretend to be here. I don't feel comfortable with making up a backstory. And so I went back to my Airbnb and I talked to my host. It was my first time booking an Airbnb where the host actually lives on site. So she had her bedroom, I had my bedroom, and she ended up being the sweetest person in the world, and it just totally, like, putting all my fears to rest. She's like, you're gonna be absolutely fine. The concert ended up being amazing, and then I met a girl there who was also there solo, and we went out and got drinks, and then we went to the art museum the next day. I love the public transport. I would definitely go back to Montreal, probably in the summer. The following weekend, I went to Toronto. I was supposed to see Kelsey Ballerini back in February. She got sick and postponed some of her tour dates. And so Toronto ended up being the closing night of her arena tour. And it was really fun. I'm not the biggest Ballerini fan. I've mentioned her so many times on this channel. Her divorce album makes me think a lot about a complicated relationship that I had. It wasn't even a romantic relationship, but a lot of the themes that she talks about in her divorce album make me feel really seen and really valid. And I think a lot of the time I look to art to understand my own experiences. So I really wanted to hear some of those songs live. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't go to another Kelsey Ballerini concert, but Toronto ended up being a lot of fun. It was just really nice to get away. The concert was on a Sunday and I came back Monday, and I really don't think anything crazy happened. It was just a nice little getaway trip. Oh, I got my first tattoo when I was in Toronto. I was walking back to my car late afternoon on Monday, right before I was heading back home, and I was passing a tattoo shop. And I always knew my first tattoo was gonna be when I saw like one of those walk-ins welcome signs. And I've had moments in the past where I passed a sign and I'm like, should I go in, should I not? And this time it was kind of like the stars aligned. I'm like, I'm traveling, I'm out of the country. This would be such a great little story to tell. And I knew exactly what I wanted and where I wanted it. It was a little outline of a sun on the inside of my left ankle. And so I was able to just go in, book the appointment. We found an image of what I was gonna get. Really great experience. It was so painless. I was a little nervous. I was definitely nervous, but it was so painless, and I'm really happy with what I got. And now I have this great little story. Okay, we've come to the last topic for today's video, goals and milestones. Kind of segueing in from traveling, I've realized that for the amount of traveling I do, my packing game is so weak. I'm a chronic overpacker. I am a mess of a packer. One of the biggest problems I have is like, what do I do with my laundry? So I decided I needed to change that, and I bought some packing cubes, and I also bought a laundry bag. I've only used them once so far for my Toronto trip, and that was just a 24-hour trip. Again, overpacker. As I was going through the border, the border patrol officer was asking me how long I was gonna be there for, what I was doing. I told him I'm there overnight, I'm coming back tomorrow, and he looks in my car, and I had like my suitcase, I had a backpack, I had a little cooler bag full of food, and he's like, why did you pack so much? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm wearing. Got kind of humbled with that one. I'm trying to learn how to be a better packer, how to pack more efficiently and more neatly, and I'm hoping that the laundry bag helps things. So stay tuned on that. I also bought some new plants. I'm becoming a bit of a plant girly, and I'm really excited for that. So I'm trying my luck with a green thumb. We'll see how that goes. And a couple of months ago, I talked about how I was kind of updating my room. I got a new bed and I was working on just some updates to my room. So first I'll show you the before. This is my room before. And this is the after. So essentially I just did some updates. I got a new bed, new bedding. I also got a new clothes rack because the other one was just completely falling apart. I really like the vibe I have going. It's still a little bit of a work in progress. I want to get something to put above my bed. I don't really know what yet, but I really like the color and the vibe that I've brought to this space, and hopefully eventually it really comes together. And the last piece that I wanted to talk about for goals and milestones is just putting energy out into the universe. Whether that's speaking about the things that you want or journaling about the things that you want. I think it's really important to focus your sight on what you want, and that's really going to help you where you're going, especially if you're in your 20s. So that's all I have for today. I'm really excited for the month of May. I'm doing something a little bit unique for May, and it's called May Blessings. Kind of a little play on words. I've been starting every journal entry in May with a blessing, like a May blessing, and it's kind of like wishing myself well. Like, may I always have enough, or may I have the strength to do X, Y, and Z. And I've also been like telling my friends that, like, may your day just be full of sunshine. And I think that it's a really unique little way of just focusing on how you can bring positive joy and energy to your friends' lives and to your own life. So on that note, I'm going to end this video. Even though this is an April recap, you'll be watching this in May. So I would like to say, during this month of May, may you have enough and may you keep being awesome. Peace out. Love you.